Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. I just want to say right from the start that the Monkey Pox is not a virus that I engineered to wipe out the population of gays in the world. Once this news broke that this thing was named Monkey Pox, everyone looks at me with judgment on their faces. This is insulting to me. It's insulting. Don't you think that I would engineer a more effective virus to wipe out the gays? It's not shock monkey pox, all right? It's not shock monkey pox. Don't you think I would engineer a much better virus than that? Additionally, I don't wish any harm upon gay people, but if I did, it would be because they are people like all other people, and I, as a miscreant misthreope, would engineer a virus that would wipe out the entire human race. I don't want to hurt anyone, but if I did, I would want to wipe out the entire human race, not just the gays. Shock Monkey Radio and Monkey Pox, no relation. Putting that out there. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I am your host, the Madman. I want to remind you again, you can follow me on social media. I got Denalitsaw on Twitter. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards. You can follow me on Twitter there. I Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook and at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. I also have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron there. I would very much appreciate that. I also have a Cash App. You can cash tag me Shock Monkey Radio. Send me a tip that way. Send me a note that way. Or you can email me at madman@fxbgpr.com. We're going to get in the mailbag later. Do a couple emails that you guys sent me. I also have books available on Amazon. Search for the author Scott L. Robbins with 2 T's and 2 B's. Or you can just go in the follow the links in the description below. I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Might be a short show today. I don't care. So, here's the thing that I don't get about all these transgender surgeries. All these miracles of modern science, and all you want to do is change your gender? Why be transgender when you could be a transformer? You know what I'm saying? If you're getting your penis removed, why not just replace it with a 10 gauge shotgun? Okay, maybe not a shotgun, but at least a 9mm pistol. I mean, it needs to fit in your pants after all. And also, why not just get flesh pockets? You know, pockets in your flesh so it's easier to smuggle food into a movie theater. You know, why not do that? How about getting real Wolverine claws? Sure, they won't be as big as, Wolverine in the movies where they're like, 2 feet long or anything like that, but you can get blades in your hands that come out a couple inches, and that's pretty effective. That's pretty effective. In fact, you'd be closer to being Wolverine at that point than you would be to the opposite sex with a similar type of surgery. I just don't understand why these people are not getting more creative about these things. And I don't want to hear any ethics nonsense either. Oh, it's not ethical to remove a cock and replace it with a Beretta, but it is ethical to remove the same cock so the person can pretend to be a woman. I find these things equally unethical. But if you're doing it, go nuts with it. Get an M16 with an M203 grenade launcher for your leg like Rose McGowan in Planet Terror. Get a Gerber multi-tool installed in your left hand and call yourself Swiss Army Man. I don't know about you, but I'm always losing my multi-tools. And so how come Elon Musk isn't spending $6 million to make himself bionic so he can go fight Bigfoot? That would be so dope. He can get Wi-Fi installed and everything and even record his vision and stuff like that so we can all see it on the internet. That would be awesome. So I think that you people out there who are doing this kind of stuff are just very, very much lacking in imagination. You want to just become a woman? We already have women. We don't have a real Rose McGowan with an M203 grenade launcher M16 on her leg. You know what I'm saying? So I don't get it. I don't get it. All right, so I know we're 5 minutes in, but it's going to get heavy right now. And if you're Catholic, I just want to say, I mean, no offense, but I do have to say some things to get it off my chest, because I got into an argument with some people in this conservative group I'm a part of. I'm not going to mention its name. So I got into an argument with these people, these Catholics, because the conversation started about Nancy Pelosi being denied communion by an archbishop. And so I commented on this, this event, saying, or, instead of being a Catholic, you could just, become a Protestant and avoid all this nonsense. And people are, nonsense? Catholicism is nonsense? Yeah, kind of. Kind of. And so it all kind of irritated me, because I didn't feel like writing on a rant and explaining everything, because why? I mean, you're not really going to convince people, these kinds of things, but it is something I feel like I need to get it off my chest. And so what happened was Nancy Pelosi was denied communion by an archbishop, of the Catholic Church, because of her stance on abortion. And I understand that, and everyone's in the media are saying, "Oh, that's not your job," and it's that is exactly the Archbishop's job. That's exactly his job. And so, when it comes to papists, when it comes to these people who are Catholic, it's this weird thing that I really don't understand. It's like the Pope, the Dalai Lama. Any of these people you think are spiritual people, they don't know anything more about spirituality than you or me or anybody else. And if you think that the Dalai Lama or the Pope is somewhat more holy than you, then you're a fool. You're a fool. And it just really irritates me when people, think that, it's a good thing to have a Pope or have a global organization like the Catholic Church. All right. Because, Rome's transition from polytheism to monotheism was quite a difficult one. Now, if you read the Bible, you know that Rome is the enemy, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Rome was the empire at the time, and Rome was polytheistic at that time. And it wasn't until many years after the death of Christ that Rome started converting to Christianity. But because the population of Rome had such a hard time, transitioning from polytheism to monotheism, all of a sudden you get all these extra gods and saints in Catholicism. You got people praying to Mary. They got to elevate these people to saints. They have to make up names for every single angel in heaven. And it's just really weird that people think that, there's no relationship between that transition between polytheism to monotheism. All right. And that's what bothers me. That's one of the many things that bothers me about Catholicism. Additionally, the church is too big. The church being the Holy See, the Catholic Church, it's too big. And when you get an organization like that that's too big, the entropy, the amount of the disorder in a closed system is going to be bigger. The larger the system, the bigger the entropy. That's just a fact of life. And that's why you have all these priests that get shuffled around every time they end up bad touching kids and stuff like that. And I know that there aren't it's like Protestants are immune to that kind of thing. I know there's a current controversy in the Southern Baptist Convention right now. Where some priests are behaving badly. In a similar vein, you're using their position of authority to, for, sexual reasons. And that is wrong. But the Southern Baptist Convention is also big enough that there's going to be entropy in that system as well. And that's why I'm not really, as a Southern Baptist, I'm not really a fan of the Southern Baptist Convention, because I'd rather the church every church be its own whole, separate thing, And so it just irritates me to no end that, that was what happened in Rome after Christianity came around and Catholicism started being adopted in Rome. The problem was that the government and the religion got married together. And that's why Vatican City is its own city. All right. And when Thomas Jefferson came here and started writing about, the separation of church and state, which isn't in the Constitution, by the way, I think it's in the federal papers. And Thomas Jefferson, when he wrote about it, I'm certain he was thinking about Rome and Vatican City and the marriage of church and state and all of that and all the dangers contained therein. And that's why there's a separation, unspoken separation between church and state in the United States. Because a theocracy is not necessarily the best thing for the republic. Because, Rome has been wrong plenty of times, like in Second World War, during the Holocaust and stuff like that. And then been wrong, with all these, bad touching priests and stuff like that. So it got too big. It got too big. And they're too polytheistic. And, praying to the Virgin Mary is insane to me. It's insane. It's what was it, Artemis or Venus? It's like somebody in Rome said, it's like, we can't, there's no woman god for the women to pray to. And so all of a sudden it's Hail Mary full of grace and all that other nonsense is why are you praying to Mary? No offense to the Virgin Mary or anything like that, but what's that with the blind guy that Jesus healed his blindness? He spit into the dirt, made mud out of it, and rubbed it on that guy's eyes in order to awaken him. Mary is like the dirt, all right? God's presence impregnating the Virgin Mary is the spit. It's God's spit. I know it's a real weird analogy, but that's the point. And it's the life of Jesus was to open the eyes of the world. All Mary had to do was bear the child and be his mother and, cry when he was, being crucified and all that. I mean, I understand her plight and I appreciate every single mother in the world, but that is not a deity. Why are you praying to them? Now I want to talk about Paul. All right. And I don't know how many arguments I've gotten into church about Paul. All right. In Rome, they had things called intelligence officers like every military does. And there was this intelligence officer named Saul who got on a road, started going to Damascus, trying to persecute Christians. And then he ran into God and there was a blinding light and they blinded him. And he went and wandered into town and said, yeah, I ran into God and he blinded me. And so he became Paul. Next thing you know, he's arrested by the Romans, but he's allowed enough wherewithal and resources in order to write tons and tons of letters to all the major churches in the Roman Empire, influencing the way people think about religion. All right, so I'm not a very big fan of like Paul and his letters and so forth. Anyway, now. Last thing I'm going to say before you think you have to go and like place a bunch of bombs in churches in Belfast or anything like that. Don't do that. That's always the wrong choice. Don't do that. What I am saying is that, number one, I am not God. All right. And the best part about not being God is that I don't have to judge anyone. I'm not going to sit here and say that, you're going to hell because you're an idolater. That's not up to me. That's up to God. All right, and you could be pointing right. You could be a Catholic and pointing right back at me, and it's like, well, you got to face God about your smoking and your drinking. It's like, okay, fair enough. We're all sinners. We have all fallen short of the glory of God. All right, but I am a Protestant for a reason. I don't think we should be praying to the mother, the mother of Jesus. I don't think you should care about the saints. I don't think you should care about the names of the friggin' angels. All right. Anyway, these are only the concerns of men. And when we reach our Creator, then we'll find out, and then we'll all be going, oh, smack my head, because we're all idiots. We are all, just dust and spit. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my little rant about Catholicism. I mean no offense. I love you all just the same. Doesn't matter. Yeah, let me wet my whistle here, and then I'm going to talk about Brooklyn Nine-Nine a little bit. So I want to talk about Brooklyn Nine-Nine a little bit because I've been watching it. I haven't really gotten all the way through it. I've been like season 4, beginning of season 4. And I don't know if I'm going to review it because I don't know if it's good enough to review. If I had to guess after 4 seasons what I'd rate it at, it's probably around 6 or 13 stars. It's okay. It's not great. And there's a lot of things that really irritate me about it. Is like, of course, the captain has to be black and gay. Every single one of them is an idiot. Every single cop in there is an idiot. And even though they're likable people, but they're, it's like I said to EK, 2 days ago. It's like, I'm sure there's cops in Brooklyn who really hate that show. So, I mean, that's the point, is that, the setting of the story is what makes people uncomfortable in many ways, because, cops, they see a cab and all that and stuff like that. And so it's like police officers are kind of like, fair game in terms of like making fun of them. And additionally, you also got like the only characters that are really effective at their job are 2 of them, and that's Detective Rosa and Detective Amy Santiago. Those are the only people who are really effective. Every now and then, Andy Samberg's character, Jake Peralta, every now and then he gets a little Rain Man moment, and he's like, oh, he actually is kind of a good detective, even though he has a very punchable face. And so, I mean, that's not really, the show's fault. It's just the way Andy Samberg looks. Don't you just want to punch him in the face? I mean, it's not like I dislike him as a person or I dislike his acting style or anything like that. It's just that kind of face you want to punch. It's a weird impulse. I will say a couple of things. Like, probably my favorite characters are Lieutenant Terry, Sergeant Terry, where I am now. Sergeant Terry, who's played by Terry Crews. There's Charles Boyle, played by Jola Truglio. And my absolute favorite character is just Gina Linetti, who is played by Chelsea Peretti, who is married to Jordan Peele. And when I was researching her, when I saw her on the show, and I was like, ooh, I really like this character, but have I seen her somewhere before? And so I like looked her up on IMDb and all that. And it's like, and through researching her, I was like, oh, she's married to Jordan Peele. That makes sense. And she is incredibly sexy. Chelsea Peretti, she is incredibly sexy. She, but it's mostly the sarcasm. I would love to hang out with her. It's like her sarcasm is just epic, and I really, really love it. And it's funny because one could argue that Detective Rosa, Stephanie Beatrice, and Melissa Fumero are better looking women, but their characters aren't really that interesting in many ways. Rosa is quite severe, and I don't like her. And when she's always sitting there talking with her arms folded, and she's talking like Marianne or Betty Ann from Letterkenny. It's like, your mitt looks like a baseball player from the 1910s spitting it and rubbed a baseball in it. Everything she says kind of has that feel to it. And then you got Amy Santiago, who is just so like crazy, nerd crazy, and it just turns me off. And so that's why I don't care. Plus, if, because she dated Jake, I 100% lose respect for you. Any woman who would date a guy that looks like Andy Samberg or with a punchable face is like, I have no respect for you. And I've actually had like women like get mad at me. They're like, oh, I'm interested in you, and I'm super hot, and you're not interested, and you're not as hot as me. And it's like, why aren't you interested in me? And it's just like, because I've seen the kind of guys you date, and so nah. I think you're kind of dumb. Additionally, there's like the Hitchcock and what's the other guy? Scully. Hitchcock and Scully. They are probably the most useless cops in there. Even though they say they claim that they're good at paperwork and so forth. And so, but I mean, it's like, there's no way on a show in the modern era where a white straight male could be a good person or an effective detective. Everyone's a bungling doofus except for the 2 women most of the time. Gina, she's, just a slacker. That's others do it. But I mean, it's there's no way that's allowed in modern television, and that irritates me. It also irritates me that there's no character that I dislike. And I don't know, maybe I was spoiled by Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but I do like at least one character that I don't like. And you can sit there and say that the mayhem guy who comes in, the vulture or whatever like that every now and then, he's a guy to dislike. Sure, but I don't think he's a very good actor, and I don't even know why he got cast in that role. Anyway, it's just a few thoughts about Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I don't think I'm going to review it. I don't think it's very good. But, hey, here's a random thought. I was thinking about making a musical, based upon my life. I think we could have like little happy tunes like, the poor kids beat me up because they thought I was rich. The rich kids beat me up because they thought I was poor. And that's why I grew up not to be a bore. I could have a lot of fun with that. And then we could do like some ballads too. Like, she broke my heart. She was annoyed. Now I'm sitting in my room listening to Pink Floyd. And then there have to be the obligatory, in the Navy, you can sail the 7 seas in the Navy. Or maybe like, if we can get the rights from Jimmy Buffett, the son of a sailor. I've done a bit of smuggling. I've ran my share of grass. I bought enough money to buy Miami, but I pissed it away so fast. It's never meant to last. Anyway, it's just a random idea popped in my head. Right there, completely unprepared. All right. Now, it's been a while since we got into the mailbag, so I got a couple of emails since we last did one. So let's do the Madman's mailbag. Let's do this first one here. Okay, yeah, there's my email address. You want to be featured in the mailbag. Okay, let's see. Madman, where can I find you gaming online? Let's see. There's basically like 3 games that I'm playing right now, and that is I play Civilization 3, Sid Meier's Civilization 3. I play that a lot, but I don't play it online against people. I just fool with the difficulty settings and have fun with it there. So you can't find me playing Civ 3 because I don't want to play against people in that. Because I suck at it. That's why I keep playing it. I'm not good at it. And so, but I do play Champions Online. I'm back to playing Champions Online now. You can find me at Madman313. And I have a bunch of characters. Soul, Jackrabbit, Super Hamster, Lord Vague, Amendment 5. I got a bunch of them. What's a Pink Raven? I'm also on Four Kings Casino and slots. I'm on that quite frequently because I love to gamble without actually losing money. And so you can find me at shockmonkeyradio in that as well. So, all right. Now you got to your answer. Next email. Yo, dude, what's on the bottom of your left hand? The bottom of my left hand? All right, this is the left one. The bottom. No, that's the palm. Is the palm the front? Or is that the bottom? Is this the bottom? The bottom of my, or you mean the back of my hand? This, can you see that dot in there? No? It looks like a freckle, but it's actually like a mole. Or you talking about that? Talking about that? Yeah, that's a mole. I have moles. I have moles undermining my entire body. And when they're on my hand, I pick at them. And so, yeah, you see I got freckles leading all up my arm. So like in 5 years, this is going to be a mole. And then 10 years, this will be a mole. And I also got like a mole on my neck here. You can see I got a big one here on my shoulder. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. I got moles. I have a neurological problem called neurofibromatosis. I don't think it's related. It happens when you get old. Stuff starts growing on you. Stuff starts growing on you. But you really, really threw me off. The bottom of your hand? What does that mean? All right. Let's go to this next email. What you putting up your nose, dog? You doing coke before every show? LOL? Question mark? Shouldn't it be you doing coke before every show? Question mark? LOL? No, I know I have a habit of constantly touching my nose, but I have a prodigious proboscis, as they say. It's quite a big one, and the hairs in there, you got to trim them and stuff like that. And so that means it's kind of like a mustache, that gets tickly and stuff like that. So I'm constantly touching my nose. And I hate coke. I hate people who do coke. I hate everybody who does coke. All right, I know I fidget with my nose. Anyway, you can buy me a trimmer. Buy me a trimmer by going to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio and become a patron. That way I can afford a trimmer. All right, let's go to this next email. Are you saying gay people are not born that way, bigot? Bigot? Question mark. Okay. Are you saying that gay people are not born that way? No, I don't think they're born that way. I think it's more of an issue of nurture over nature. I think if you you spend too much time, I think that men raised by single mothers are more likely to be gay. I know these are very controversial thoughts to have, but I think if you're raised by single mothers, not to be gay. If you don't have a very positive relationship with your father, I think you're more likely to be gay. I'm specifically talking about men right now, gay men. And additionally, there is an interesting aspect to mammalian reproduction and stuff like that. It's like because of of sexual selection, that means that like 100% of the women in human society will only date and breed with about the top 20% of men in society. And so if I had to think that, like, if God had a plan why he makes why are gay people around? It's like because not all of us are going to be passing our genes on. So you got to find a dolphin to bang. Any dolphin will do. And if you don't know, it's like there's more gay men than there are gay women. And I think men are more likely to be gay than women are, because sometimes you're ugly and women don't, or you're not rich enough and women don't want to be with you. So I know it's controversial, but I don't think that it's a natural thing. I don't think the people are born that way. I'm not saying that you're bad or you're going to hell because you're gay or anything like that. It's just it's just a weird thing that exists in human society because we are complex creatures, the most complex creature on the planet. All right, one more email. All right, you look like the rock biter from Neverending Story. That's not a question. Okay, but I get it.
No question about it.
Yeah, that I mean, I get it. I mean, they look like big, strong hands, don't they? All right. And so, that's all the emails I'm going to read today. I want to remind you can email me at madman@fxbgpr.com if you want to be featured in my mailbag. I won't use your name like I didn't use any of these people's names. I just like to respond to them. So email me there, or I'm going to continue talking to myself. So let's go ahead and get into the news worth knowing. So it's going to be a bummer today, obviously, if you know anything about the news lately. So, you've heard about the shooting in Uvalde, Texas. This is headline news. Everyone knows about it. But let's talk about Biden. He demands gun control following Uvalde, Texas elementary school shooting. All right, so President Biden called for changes to gun laws on Tuesday and expressed his heartbreak in his address to the nation following a mass shooting at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Quote, "To lose a child is like having a piece of your soul ripped away," said Biden, who learned of the shooting at Robb Elementary School while on Air Force One returning from his trip from Asia. Quote, "There's a hollowness in your chest. You feel like you're being sucked into it, never able to get out. Suffocating. It's never quite the same." A shooter identified as, I don't care about his name, opened fire at Robb Elementary School Tuesday, killed at least 18 students and one teacher. I think the number has gone up since this article. The gunman was also died. Come on. He was killed. He was killed by a police officer, Border Patrol, I think. 2 police officers were shot and wounded and are expected to survive, Texas Governor Greg Abbott said. Quote, Biden went on to say, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit." That's very correct, he said, quoting Psalm 34. Biden's asked for prayers for the families and friends of the children, but then turned to call for more restrictive gun laws. Flipped on a dime, huh? All right, so, quote, "As a nation, we have to ask, when in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby?" Unbelievable. "When in God's name will we do what we know in our heart, in our gut needs to be done?" Biden said. "We have to act. Don't tell me we can't have an impact on this carnage," Biden added. Biden called for common sense gun laws, saying that we know they work and have a positive impact. Biden claimed that after the assault weapon ban was passed in 1994, mass shootings went down. After the law expired in 2004, Biden said mass shootings tripled. That's what he said. It's not true. Anyway. Quote, "What in God's name do you need an assault weapon for unless to kill someone?" I don't know, hunting, Biden asked, deer aren't running through the forest with Kevlar vests, for God's sakes. Kevlar wouldn't stop a rifle, man. Gun manufacturers have spent 2 decades aggressively marketing assault weapons, which make them the most and largest profit. Biden said, for God's sakes, we have to have courage to stand up to the industry, he added. Biden said that other nations, which also have mental health illnesses, domestic violence, and other concerns, do not see the same kinds of massacres. Yeah, they just have more stabbings. Idiot. Quote, these kinds of mass shootings never happen with the kind of frequency they do in America. Why? He asked. Because everyone focuses on America. All right? Every time something like that happens in Germany, nobody complains. Nobody says, oh, what do you expect from Germany? No. When it happens in America, everyone's like, what do you expect in America? Quote, why are we willing to live with this carnage? Why do we keep letting it happen? It's time to turn this page into action, he said. Vice President Kamala Harris spoke earlier in the day. Enough is enough, she said. As a nation, we have to have the courage to take action and understand that the nexus between what makes for reasonable and sensible public policy to ensure something like this never happens again. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez blamed Republicans for the shooting. Quote, there is no such thing as being pro-life while supporting laws that let children be shot in their schools, elders in grocery stores, and worshipers in their house of faith, survivors by abusers, or anyone in a crowded place, she wrote on Twitter. It is an idolatry of violence, and it must end. Yeah, that's the end of the article. Now allow me to retort. I don't know. Why don't we arm school resource officers? Why don't we arm some teachers? 9mm? Way faster than calling 911. 40 caliber, 45 caliber, 5.56, 7.62, all are faster than dialing 911. And if you just had a few teachers in your school, a handful, 5, 6 people who are willing to conceal carry every day for an emergency situation like this, there would be way less deaths. You would have like 2 or 3, maybe, because you can't stop crazy people from being crazy. You can't, it always comes out of nowhere. All right. Making people, law-abiding citizens, jump through more hoops to get their weapons is not going to stop criminals from getting weapons. And here's the thing. It's like has anyone mentioned this? It's like something like this happens and the Democrats all of a sudden want to do what they wanted to do even before the shooting. Even before shootings like this happen. Even on a cold news day, where there's nothing like this in the news, they still want to get rid of the Second Amendment. All right? And it's weird when whatever happens in the news, their agenda becomes, it's like, oh, we're right. No, absolutely not. You are 100% wrong about thinking you need to take guns away from the schools. You need to put more guns in the schools. I'm not saying arm students. That's ridiculous. You need to arm the teachers. All right? You need to arm the school resource officers, which are police officers that work in the schools. All right? Probably you should get better security. Instead of investing in like critical race theory seminars and shit like that, why don't you just get, some security guards? If you really cared about these kids, you'd want to protect them. You'd want to protect them with an equal amount of force. And the reason why crazy assholes like this guy go into a school to start shooting is because they know no one in there has a fucking gun. That's why they do it. They don't bust into a gun store like that, do they? There's no mass shootings that happen in a gun store. These idiots. Let's go on to this next story. Also about the same thing. Uvalde, Texas shooting response. School districts nationwide ramp up security. So, yeah, I guess we're going to get into more of this. School districts across the U.S. are taking heightened security measures following a deadly mass shooting in a Texas elementary school. 18-year-old student killed, blah, blah, blah. We went over that. In Georgia, school and law enforcement officials in several counties made announcements hours after the shooting. Gwinnett County, the largest in the state and 13th largest in the country, with nearly 200,000 students, will see police officers on campuses, Fox 5 Atlanta reported. While there are no known threats to any school in Gwinnett, our officers will be on hand for the safety and comfort of our residents. And that's all it is. It's for safety and it's for the comfort of the residents. That's all. There's no, higher chance of a threat or copycat of a school shooting. It doesn't work like that, The Fulton County School District told families that in the remaining 2 days of the school year, in the Fulton County Police Department, campus security associates and administrators will be vigilant and aware of the safety concerns our community will have in the wake of this tragedy. The Sheriff's Office in Loudoun County, Virginia, announced that they too are responding. In light of the horrific shooting at Robb Elementary School, we will grieve with the city of Uvalde, Texas, and the nation. #Loudoun residents will see an increased LCSO presence at elementary schools in the county to ensure that the community feels safe in our schools, the Sheriff's Office tweeted. They noted that while there are no known threats, they are acting out of an abundance of caution over the next several days. The Texas school shooting took place a day after Loudoun County officials, including a bomb squad, responded to a local high school regarding a suspicious device that had turned out to be an unapproved science project. That seems like the more interesting story. Sorry. This is very serious. Sorry. Police in Montgomery County, Maryland, said that they will be continuously checking on our schools to ensure the safety of students in light of the Texas shooting. In Florida, the Duval County school police chief notified parents that there will be no backpacks or large handbags allowed at any Duval County public schools this week, and small purses will be subject to search. News4Jax reported. Additionally, he said all of our leadership officers will be at the schools for the remainder of the week, and we have asked other law enforcement agencies in the area to be especially vigilant around our schools. In North Carolina, the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office announced that the law enforcement will have an increased presence in all of our local schools in the days ahead, and on top of the officers and security measures that are already in place. And that's the end of the article. So I'm just going to say this is all window dressing. This is just to make people feel better. There's no heightened chance of a threat, and you're pulling cops off the street to go sit at these schools to make people feel better. And so, like, every person who is a criminal who has larceny at heart knows that now is the time to strike out on a completely unrelated crime. All right? The problem is not the fact that, the cops aren't going to be sitting there for more than a few days. You know what I'm saying? They're not permanently adding more cops to the school resource officers. All right. It's just something to make people feel better for a little while. And then it's going to go back to the way it was, which is no guns in school. And then all of a sudden a guy comes in with a couple of guns and starts shooting people. You got to call 911. They got to wait for the dispatcher to send it out over the radio and hope and pray to God that they don't kill more than 20 people before a cop gets there. Just irritating to me. It's all, this knee-jerk reaction is just, it's not what is needed. It's not what is needed. You want to keep these kids safe, you need to put guns in the hands of teachers. You need to put guns in the hands of school resource officers. All right? You can't put the specter of firearms back in Pandora's box. You know what I'm saying? The technology exists. It will always exist from now on. And you think you want to take guns away from everybody who's going to stop stuff like this from happening? You're smoking crack. Anyway, let's talk about other things. Let's talk about Russia for a bit. As the Ukraine war drags on, Russia removes military age limits. It doesn't sound good. Russian lawmakers passed legislation eliminating the existing age limit on serving in the military today, on Wednesday. Russian military service had previously been limited to those between 18 and 40 years old, but the new legislation removes the upper limit. Russian President Vladimir Putin has yet to sign the legislation into law, however. Quote, today especially, we need to strengthen our armed forces with the help of the Ministry of Defense. Our Supreme Commander is doing everything to ensure that our armed forces win, and we need help. State Duma Speaker, let's just say Volodin, said in a statement. Vlashchev, forgive me. The Russian military has sustained heavy losses since opening its invasion of Ukraine in February. Estimates suggest that the country's military has lost 15,000 soldiers with up to 35,000 others wounded, according to the UK Foreign Ministry. Russia's war in Ukraine has faltered in recent weeks, with Putin withdrawing his forces from around the capital city of Kyiv and focusing on the east. UK Defense Ministry has also reported that Russia removed several top military commanders as poor performance in the Ukraine invasion. Quote, many officials involved in the invasion of Ukraine will likely be increasingly distracted by efforts to avoid personal culpability for Russia's operational setbacks, the ministry said. It will be difficult for Russia to regain initiative under these conditions. It's not a good sign. It's not a good sign, Russia. It's like we need to start, conscripting old men. You know what I mean? That's not a good thing. That, and all these officers and stuff like that who keep getting fired from their job for their poor performance and poor performance in Ukraine. A lot of it could be the fact that, it's an immoral war. It's an immoral invasion, and people, every single person is an individual, even in the military. Every single person is an individual and has, has the free will to choose how to follow their order. It's like, oh, you want me to invade Ukraine? And it's like, I know people there. I have family in Kyiv. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to fight around here in these woods. Oh, we got mud. Yeah, we got stuck in some mud. So I mean, there's you need to have people united around an idea to do an effective war, which is a weird phrase to say. And, when it came to the Second World War in the U.S., our advantage was this ideological unity, where we're like, we've been dragged into this war, quote unquote. I mean, you can conspiracy theory all you want, but we got attacked, and we're united in this idea to defeat the Axis powers. And with that, and like the moral rightness of our crusade in that regard is what fueled the troops, just as much as all the logistics that we had to stockpile on in England before we invaded. It's just as much important to be ideologically understanding that you're doing the right thing. And when you feel like this is a stupid order by a Russian mafia madman, you're not going to get all these soldiers who have the will to fight in that regard. So now you got to start conscripting old men because you've been losing so much. Not a good sign for Russia. I like when people say, it's like, oh, Russia's a superpower. And it's like, like on paper. Just because they have nukes, you know what I'm saying? Anyway. All right, let's talk about baby formula. Parents needing baby formula are targeted by scammers during a national shortage. Oh, Lord. Be careful out there, people. Be careful. This is coming out of Minneapolis. Scammers are targeting parents trying to find baby formula. Shelves remain empty, and websites say they're out of stock as the Biden administration tries to get a handle on the crisis that's putting infant lives at risk. Jeffrey Gouge? Can't be Gouge. Jeffrey G-O-U-G, Gouge, and his wife live in Florida and are expecting their second child in July. Quote, we wanted to have a backup option to have some formula available in the house just in case the event that things don't work out breastfeeding, he said. But across the U.S., baby formula is 45% below the expected supply. Quote, we got really worried. I was at work, and she sent me a text and said, hey, I just bought some formula online, Gouge said. She verbatim said, I don't know how I found it, but I bought it online. It's one of the scariest phrases that someone can say nowadays. Oh, man. He went on the website itself, allows you to add anywhere between one case of something all the way up to 1,000. And you put your credit card on file and have the money available to place that order. Your money will be drafted from your account, and the problem is they will never be able to fulfill that order. Thankfully, Gouge said that he only lost $74.10, but he's worried other parents may not be so lucky. He reported the website to the Better Business Bureau's online scam tracker. Sandra Gile with the Better Business Bureau said it's seen multiple baby formula scams in the last week. Online purchase scams are very, very common. Sadly, it's the number one riskiest scam. She suggested using a credit card over a debit card, being wary of people's private messages, and making sure to research any company before buying its product. They will use any means possible to get one or two pieces of information from you, and that's either your personal identifiable information or your banking information, Gile said. These scammers are very persuasive. They're very tricky. Lord Almighty. Be good out there. Be safe, I mean. Holy cow. How much is baby formula going for these days? baby formula. How much is it going for? Like $100 a what? For a can? Oh man. Woo! That's expensive, yo. Man, that's crazy. You got to be careful out there, ladies and gentlemen. You got to be careful. Watch those scammers. All right, let's get into these last two news stories. Let's cheer us up with some happier stories before we get out of here for the week. California chopper crew rescues man trapped on a 500-foot cliff, video shows. Man clung to safety on the face of Muscle Rock near Dale City, California. A California helicopter crew airlifted a man to safety Thursday after he became stranded on the face of a 500-foot vertical cliff, authorities said. A local fisherman spotted the man clinging to a cliff about halfway down Muscle Rock around 5:10 p.m. and called the fire department, the California Highway Patrol, Golden Gate Division Air Operations said. Muscle Rock is located near Dale City in San Mateo County. However, when the man's precarious position prevented the ground rescuers from locating him, fire officials called the CHP for assistance, the agency said. California Highway Patrol helicopter H-30 responded and located the victim. Officials determined that a helicopter rescue would be the safest. And if you find the pictures of this, yeah, for sure. The California Highway Patrol pilot battled challenging winds while hovering 100 feet over the cliff and lowering an officer down to the victim, the agency said. The video footage from the CHP officer's helmet camera shows him directing the chopper as he is lowered to the victim's location on the cliff face. Once he reaches the stranded man, he straps the harness around the victim and both are hoisted off the cliff. The chopper short-hauled the victim and the officer to a nearby landing zone where the victim was handed over to fire officials, CHP, and no injuries were reported. That is awesome. That is awesome. That's a feel-good tale. When I read this story, when I picked it for the news, I was thinking about how when I was in the Navy, we had rescue swimmers. And have you ever seen Top Gun when they ejected and they ended up in the water? Yeah, they have the helicopter come out and they have divers. They'll jump into the water, help the pilot or whoever's in the water or whoever's overboard, help them, stay afloat and, I don't know, fight off sharks, whatever they do. But it's kind of a badass job, and I always thought that was really cool. And it's kind of amazing because the nature of helicopters being, VTOL and stuff like that, it's like it allows us to have that kind of capability to rescue people in such a dangerous position. 50 years ago, 60 years ago, I don't know how long have helicopters been around. But, before the invention of the helicopter, if you ended up on a cliff face up there, you're screwed. You're going to be emerging from a couple of recta from bears. Bear recta. That's all there is to it. So it's kind of amazing what we can do these days. And, kudos to that fisherman who saw the guy on the cliff and was like, that doesn't seem right. I better call somebody. Good. Awesome. That's awesome. Awesome news. Last story, then we'll get out of here. New Jersey math teacher and wife build a nation's first sports complex for people with special needs. When New Jersey math teacher Christian Kane wasn't teaching advanced placement statistics, he was devising a way to construct the nation's first sports complex for children and adults with special needs. Oh, he teaches statistics. He's just super bored. Okay, I get it. Okay, it took 5 years of planning, trying to raise $3.6 million to fund it. Kane said that the journey was worth it when, on Saturday, families flooded into the R.W.J. Barnabas Health Field of Dreams in Toms River for the first time. Kane and his wife Mary were committed to completing the 3.5 acre project for their son Gavin, who suffered a traumatic brain injury at just 19 months old. Kane remembers the day vividly. On July 12, 2012, he and his son were making a left-hand turn into the Toms River North High School around 9:30 a.m. when they were hit by a fully loaded beer truck. As a result of the accident, Gavin, who had been in the back seat, lost his ability to speak and walk on his own. However, as time passed, the Kanes realized that he could still write, read, and add and multiply. He's Stephen Hawking, that's what he is, Kane told Fox News Digital. He knows what's going on. Gavin, now 11, also has the same drive to participate in activities, from playing sports to running around the playground just like any other child, Kane said. He wants to be a typical kid, quote unquote. When they started taking Gavin to the playground, the Kanes realized that there was nothing for him to do except use a red swing. There was nothing there, Christian Kane said. There was no inclusion. The Canes set out to change that, giving up much of their lives so that they can make sure Gavin lives his to the fullest. It started out as a baseball field, but the dream kept growing. Awesome. They decided to create an all-inclusive playground where every kid could play at the same level. Features include a pavilion, basketball court, miniature golf course, trampoline, zip line, bocce court, wow, snack shack, and a walking area circling the entire complex. There is a quiet area for children with autism to sit with their family or caretakers and thrive stations, quote unquote thrive stations, to help people who are rehabilitating from surgery or to assist those recovering from chemotherapy. It's a special needs complex for those of any age, of any ability, he said. We wanted to build something that for everybody so that a caretaker could bring their loved one and not have to be stared at, but also participate. And there is nothing like it in the entire country, he added. To complete this dream, they needed millions of dollars. Even though Kane didn't have the money, he promised the construction crews he would find a way to get it and told them to keep building. Whew. It was no small task for a full-time teacher and a father of 6 kids. Wow. Quote, every day I become Gavin's body. Every single day I become Gavin's body because he wants to walk here and there. He wants to go to the bathroom. He wants to go play. I now become his body so that he can do these things. When the Canes aren't taking care of Gavin, they're helping their 5 other children. Quote, whenever I have a moment of time, whenever it might be, I work on raising enough money to build this complex, he said. However, Christian Kane said he couldn't do it without his wife, who gave up her entire life to be Gavin's nurse, doctor, teacher, and cheerleader. Good for her. We'll come back to that here. Hold on a second. All right. As for now, the Canes still owe $300,000 to pay off the project, but Kane said if a high school math teacher could figure this out, other companies and institutions should be able to as well. You are a statistics teacher. Quote, I want this to be a national story because I want every other mom and dad out there who's living my pain to know that, hey, listen, I can help you build one of these, Kane said. That's awesome. That's incredibly cool. You know, I love this one line here. However, Christian Kane said he couldn't do it without his wife, who gave up her entire life to be Gavin's nurse, doctor, teacher, and cheerleader. And, you know, I have to say, God bless those stay-at-home moms. God bless those parents of kids with special needs. You know, it's really taxing. It really is. God bless you for that very, very important work. Very important work. And I'm glad, you know, that there's a place that's designed around the needs of these people. And, you know, because, you know, even with going to the playground with my niece, you know, we complain about playgrounds all the time. It's like, no real, the swings here suck, you know, there's no swings, you know, there's no merry-go-rounds anymore. Let's get out of here. Get out of here. But, you know, hey, yeah, everyone can learn how to play bocce ball, you know. It's cool that they have all these options available to them, and it's really, really quite great. Anyway, so this is going to be the end of the show. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron. I would appreciate it very much. I also have a Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio. Send me money that way. You can follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter at DenalitSaw. That's Wasteland backwards. Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook and at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. I also have books available on Amazon for digital download. Search for the author Scott L. Robbins with 2 T's and 2 B's. Links are down in the description below. And this has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.